Hello everyone, my name is Roya, and I read a whopping 6 books in the latter half of March, so that is back to being above average, so yay, that's the best I've done in a while, and these were all mostly really good reads, and I actually, all but one were books that were sent to me for review, so I got through quite a few of the review books that I have. So anyway, I'm going to start with the one that was not sent to me for review, and that is Taxing Courtship by J.C. Jarvis. This is a fantasy romance about a thief, a lady of the realm who has turned to thievery kind of to support her temple that marks her as a lady of the realm, all of that, and she falls in love with a honorable tax collector, and so they spend the whole time thinking they can't be together because, you know, she's an outlaw, so she can't be with someone who's of the rank that he is in society, but at the same time, like, he's a commoner and he thinks he's not good enough for her because she's a lady and all this other stuff. So the whole thing is so good. The characters have such a great dynamic. The setting is really compelling just the whole way through. It has a lot of creativity to it, and just overall the whole thing is really addictive, and it is so just it really absorbed me the whole time and really kept me reading. So I do have a full review of this going up in a week, so you can keep an eye out for that. But yeah, I definitely recommend this book so much. It was my favorite book of the month, and it's amazing. Next, I'm going to talk about the 2 sequels that that were sent to me for review that I read this month. So firstly, The Electric Air by Victoria Lee. This is the second book in the Fever Wake series, and the first one is The Fever King. So this one I loved so much more than the first one. The first one was kind of like I couldn't decide whether it deserved 3 or 4 stars, but this one was definitely a high 4 stars for me for sure. So I absolutely loved the crap out of this book. It was so good the whole time. It had all the things that I loved about the first book, but also being a lot more kind of plot driven and character driven at the same time. Just overall, there was like nothing slow about it at all. It's so much longer than the first book, but none of it was filler at all. Also, this book has so many loaded themes to it, which is just crazy. I think by now a lot of you guys know that I don't like the surprise villain trope, because I don't like the fact that basically that weakens the character. It makes us have to be reintroduced to that same character, only now we know they're a villain. But this series actually does that very well, and I've never seen another book do it that well at all, because we don't have to be reintroduced to the character once we know that they're a villain. We actually see the same person. There's no difference in their character at all now, that just because we know that they're a villain now. So I thought that execution of that was so brilliant, and I really do think that this book is just very on point. This whole series kind of is, and it's pretty great, and I really enjoyed it. The other sequel that was sent to me for review was Lion Cub by J.P. Harker. This has been on my TBR like all year. Almost a year. It's been in almost every TBR video, which is kind of crazy. So this was sent to me by the author. I've actually been reading the whole series. This is the third and I believe final one. It follows the son of the main character from the first book. This book I think was my favorite in the series, or it was tied with the first one. I'm really not sure which one of them I liked better, but it had all the really good plot points that the first one had. All the same kind of stuff kept me reading. And also there was just a lot to this one that I did not see coming, just over and over again. The whole thing was just so unpredictable to me, and I really loved that about it. It made it a really compelling read, and also, like, he really wanted to make all the characters suffer in this book, I swear. But yeah, this also follows the most point of view characters, and also like hardly any of them are point of view characters that we got in the previous 2 books either. So I think the whole book was just really well thought out. I think the whole series is really well thought out. So it is also very like ancient world based. It's really very much based on ancient Rome and other ancient civilizations at that time. But it's a fantasy book, so it's all totally made up, but you can so tell like what it's based on and stuff. So it's definitely really interesting that way. Like there was definitely a lot of research that went into it. So yeah, I definitely really like the series. I plan to do a full series review on this, but I don't know if that's going to happen, but we will see. Another book that was sent to me for review by the author is Resonance in San Francisco by Jaden Mercury. This is about a girl who, or a woman rather. I mean, I guess she's a girl, but she's like 35, so it seems kind of funny calling her a girl. But anyway, she has the ability to, whenever she touches anything, she knows the whole story of that object or whatever it is, or even that person, if she touches a person. So basically, even if she puts her hand on the windowsill, she like automatically sees and feels things from the people who touched the windowsill before, and the whole history of that house and all kinds of stuff. It's like really crazy. And so she can't necessarily turn it off. Like she has to, everything she touches, she automatically gets that. So all the stuff she wears, everything else, it all has to be like fair trade stuff. She can't eat anything that's an animal product because she actually like sees and feels the whole story there. So she can like only eat vegan food, etc., etc. It's really interesting, like that whole power. It's something that's so interesting in this, and it's not something that you would want to be able to do at all. And I really like magic systems that are like that, where it's something that's really interesting that's not something that you would actually want to be able to do at all. But yeah, so this is an erotica, and if you guys have been around long enough to remember the last time I reviewed erotica on this channel, you will know that that my way of reviewing erotica is completely different. I hold it to totally different standards from the typical book that I read, just because otherwise they would all get 1 star, just because I don't expect the same things that I do out of anything else, because the book is going for something completely different. So overall, I thought this book was really good, but I did find some faults in there were a lot of, I think this really could have used a lot more editing, and some of the storytelling could have been a little bit different as well to make the story kind of go better. But overall, it's a really quick read. Like, I was actually reading this at the same time as I was reading Lion Cub, and I was going to read a little bit of it as kind of a break, just because Lion Cub is such a long book. And then before I knew it, I had read like half of this book already in like one sitting, and I was like, whoa, where'd the whole book go? So it was a very like interesting and quick read that way. Next, Gotham High by Melissa De La Cruz and Thomas Pitilli. And this is a graphic novel about Batman, Catwoman, and the Joker before they were those people. So I absolutely loved the crap out of this graphic novel. I think that it was so much more exciting and interesting than I thought it was going to be. I especially really adored the character of Selena Kyle. I've been a Catwoman fan since I was like a kid, and I just adore the fact that even in this book where she's a high school girl, like, she really rides the fence. She's not good or bad. She's just in it for herself, whatever benefits whatever she's trying to do. But at the same time, you see some total selflessness in this from her, and I just absolutely loved that. So this had some really interesting themes in it, and the characters that these people are going to become just really shine through in this. Like, you can still totally tell they have those same attributes, all of that. And I also really loved how diverse this is. So Bruce Wayne, for instance, is his mom was actually from Hong Kong and all of that stuff. Like, in everything that I've kind of seen before, he's kind of just a white dude, and so I loved that he's not just a white dude. And then, of course, Selena is not white either, which is great. So I absolutely loved that, and I also really like how none of them are necessarily like good or evil. They're just trying to do whatever it is they're trying to do in this, and the whole story was just so compelling, and it was a really quick read and just super exciting the whole way through, and I absolutely loved it. And finally, Crave by Tracy Wolff. This is not the type of book that I normally would reach for had it not been sent to me for review, but I absolutely really liked it. It was so addicting. It's crazy to me. So this is about a girl who her parents were killed in a car accident, so she moves to Alaska to be in a boarding school with her cousin, where her uncle is the headmaster and all of that stuff. And then what she doesn't know is that the boarding school is filled with supernatural beings, and she's the only actual just human there, and she kind of goes a good chunk of the book not even having a clue or just being really in denial, and it's just really, really crazy. So it comes across as kind of a Twilight ripoff, except it's really not at the same time. I was totally expecting total Twilight ripoff vibes from this, but it's totally not. Like, it actually pokes fun at the genre a little bit, and while there's some faults I found with the writing and also just the storytelling in general, I actually thought this was such a quick read, and there are some really creative aspects to it. Like, it's not your typical story of this nature at all. It's not your typical paranormal romance, really, even. But I definitely really, really liked it a lot more than I thought. I think this is a really good book, a really quick read as well. Again, not the type of thing that I normally reach for, but I was like really surprised at how much I actually liked it. I don't think that this is like incredible the way that some of the other books I read this month are, but I definitely enjoyed every moment. Somehow it was crazy. So anyway, those are the books that I read in the second half of March. Let me know if you've read any of these, what your thoughts are on them, and I will see you very soon with a new video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye.